Greetings, everybody. Greetings. I hope that everybody has had a wonderful week and an outstanding Friday. Welcome to the Hearts of Men podcast. I am one of your hosts, Coach Dwayne Dwyer, and with me this evening is my partner in crime, Mr. Roland down the street. I'll let him explain all that later. I love just slowing it down like that because I love this name he came up with. And soon to be joining us is Mr. Chris McClellan from Chris from across the table, as I like to say, from the other side of the table. So with that being said, Roland Walker, how are you doing today, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great. It's a Friday, and hey, it's just like on Friday. I ain't got no job, but I ain't even get fired today. But yeah, I'm doing great.
Man, listen.
I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah. I'm always looking forward to Friday, man. I'm excited to be sharing these times with you, sharing in this great conversation. And man, I'm telling you, man, it just seemed like every week we just have phenomenal conversations, man. So I for one, I just want to say how much I appreciate you, man, and appreciate Chris as well. And with that being said, I think this evening we're going to have another phenomenal conversation. Now, just want to set the conditions for everybody as they're coming on. And again, I want to thank everybody who joined us. I want to thank everybody who joined us every Friday night. We appreciate your time, your energy, and your efforts. And we definitely appreciate your feedback. So again, without hesitation, get in the comments. Let us know that you're with us. Let us know what your thoughts are based upon this particular conversation. Chris, we got you, brother. We're just waiting on you to get here. But we're going to Charlie Mike, and we're just going to rope you in as you get here. So again, be safe and look forward to seeing you as you come on. So we're going to talk tonight about how mature men handle temptation. Now, listen, man, when you throw the word temptation out there, man, I know already that there are a number of different thoughts that go through people's head. So I think I want to kind of start off a couple of ways first, right? Before we get started, Ro, I kind of want to pull this down and I want to throw the definition up so that everybody can have a good understanding of what temptation is. Don't want to insult anybody's intelligence, but I want to make sure that we have a good working platform of temptation alone. Now, that being said, man, let's kind of do what we do, man. With it, when you think about temptation, Roland, like what are some of the things that you struggle with temptation wise? And I'm talking younger Roland, right? Not necessarily Roland today.
Well, I would hope so. Well, when we first came up with the temptation thing, first thing I thought about was ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. I thought about the movie, but then I got realistic with it.
Yeah.
And I think initially when you think temptation, especially a younger man, what we all gravitate towards sex. Temptation. Oh, you just out there doing this and out there, because when you're younger, growing up, you want to go to the clubs, you want to go to the strip clubs, you want to go to the all these events where because remember when we were younger, you had Freaknik,
Good
you
point.
had Uncle Luke,
Yeah.
you had and then all these temptations used to come across the screen where because they were like things you couldn't do. Now everything just on the screen anyway.
Absolutely.
But back in the day, you had to sneak, and I think that added to the temptation because you weren't supposed to be doing it. You weren't supposed to be watching it. And so younger me, it was probably more or less on the that sexual side. Temptation is like, hey, what trouble can I get into tonight?
Yeah. I definitely got to agree with that. And Chris, welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you. I hope you had a productive week and a productive day as well. So we just kind of dove into the temptation thing already, man.
Oh, shoot.
Get ready, brothers. Come in.
Just jump in.
So, like you, Roland, like when I was younger, I'm not exempt from the whole sex thing, right? I had that temptation as well. But I don't think that was the only thing that tempted me. I think for me, I had this struggle with and I don't want to kind of turn into a struggle conversation. But again, when we look at this, the desire to do something, especially something wrong or unwise, man, I struggled with what unwise was, like just being able to make wise decisions, things of that nature. So, teeter tottering on not understanding what wisdom looked like, making good decisions. Yeah, sure. We all know the difference between right and wrong, right? but just kind of teeter-tottering on that and trying to figure out, do I want to go hang out? Do I want to, some of my friends, they drinking a little bit. I want to drink some, I want to drink some of this, because back then, you had, 40 ounces of beer and all kind of, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And so, yeah, that was another temptation. Alcohol, being with the cool crowd. Some people, temptation was smoking cigarettes. So all of those things were tempting because it wasn't the thing. It was just being popular, wanting to hang out with the cool kids. So the cool kids was kind of like the temptation that I kind of want to talk about real quick, simply because whatever they were doing, I was like, maybe I should do that too, but I don't want to get in trouble. But I'm gonna do it and try to like sneak around the corner and whatever that looked like. So when you talk about the whole sex thing, I agree with you, but in conjunction with it, you had alcohol, you had cigarettes, hanging out late, all of those things were temptations that I know I struggle with.
See, I got yeah. That's why I got to have a caveat because you brought up something. You bringing this up. I had to grow up early because I was put out at 14,
Mm,
and so I had to maneuver to do certain things. And growing up in the environment that I grew up in, I made decisions based on how slick I thought I was.
mm,
So I was one of them, like when I did start, dibble dabbling in selling those, non-prescription pharmaceuticals,
gotcha.
I thought I was smart. I'm like, man, I do it the smart way, so I ain't gonna get caught.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And when you start making a little money, it becomes
yeah.
addictive. So that was one of those things. And my family members, I saw them go through certain things, and I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna end up like that because I'm thinking I'm slicking in a, you know, can of oil. But yeah, that was one of those things where keeping up with the Joneses and as you say, the cool kids and everything, where I could maneuver over here and still maintain this and have what I thought was a positive image because image became a lot, especially when you're doing it on your own. So
Mm,
the temptation to seem like you are more than you are, even though deep down inside you're really an insecure little boy
mm.
person.
I like that. I like that because, Chris, I'm gonna toss it to you here real quick. But I like what you're saying because like I said it before, and I'm gonna say it again, man. Back then, it wasn't cool to be dark skin. So I was chasing cats like I'm sorry, remember I said I had to do this. I was chasing cats like Roland, right? Because whatever he was doing, it was cool. So I wanted to be like him, not necessarily be like him, but get what he got. And so the temptation that I was faced with, like we was talking about just now, all of those things was just simply because I wanted to kind of hang out with this cat right here, be cool like him. And of course, the women flock to him, not to us. So if I'm in his company, I can be in their company too. So that's kind of like what that looked like. Chris, my friend, again, welcome. We're talking about temptations, some of the things that you dealt with when you were younger. So what were some of the temptations that you faced with, sir?
Y'all all hit the nail right on the head. Just the temptation to be one of the cool kids. Like I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be like cool. But it's like now it's like it's crazy how the cool kids that I want to be like now look at me.
Mm,
That's crazy. That's
yeah,
what's crazy to me. Like, but yeah, the temptation to keep up with the Joneses, to keep up with the flyest gear, to keep up with the latest sneakers, to keep up with the latest outings and going places and staying out late and defying my parents and all of that stuff. That was the biggest temptation that I had coming up. And then when the ladies started to come around, that was a whole different type of temptation that nobody showed me how to deal with.
right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it was like I wound I wanted to be with the cool kids. So I wound up being not one of the cool kids, but one of the kids that knew the cool kids and that could be around them, but really wasn't the cool kid. And just because I was around them, I would get some of the benefits that they got, but I didn't know how to handle it. I
Yeah.
didn't know what I was doing, and none of them showed me. And then And then it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a cool kid no more. Like I really don't. I don't want that kind of pressure. There's a lot of pressure with being a cool kid and being popular and all of that. There's an image you got to maintain all the time.
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'd rather just be myself. And I've come to
Right.
find out that being myself might have been the best decision I could have ever made. Because being myself got the cool kids looking at me.
That's a good point. That's a
I'm
good
with
point.
you. And like you say, being yourself. As I got older, I realized some of the things I like to do without the pressures of the people and all that. I was like, man, I would consider me a corny dude
Mhm.
because some of the things that I like to do. I like just sitting in my garage. I like just chilling. I like not having drama and all these things coming up behind me. I'm like,
Peace.
if that's corny, I'm cool with being corny.
I'll be
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
will be that. Like I was like, to keep it real, all the stuff that I used to get laughed at for doing when I was younger are now becoming like cool now. Like I used to wear mismatched shoes. Now NBA players are wearing mismatched shoes in their basketball games.
So
Mm.
You
you
understand what I'm
saying you
saying?
started that, huh?
Yeah, he's a pioneer.
Yeah.
So absolutely, absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I was deep into video games. Now being a
Mm.
gamer is the it thing. You understand
Right.
what I'm saying? Like all of this, it's crazy how everything come full circle.
Yeah.
And now the same people that used to laugh at me for being different are the same people that are looking at me and trying to give me dap and telling me how gifted I am.
Mm.
It's amazing. And that's
Yeah.
not to sound arrogant. It's just how it just is.
Yeah.
Like I'm still not a cool kid. I'm still not popular. And I am okay with that. I am
Because you're
so
okay with
okay with
being you.
that.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I'm glad you said that you're okay with being you, because I think, Chris, you mentioned just now the word peace. And I think peace is, like, for me, that is a non-compromisable feat in my
Oh
life.
no.
Like, I'm okay with being at home by myself, watching TV, relaxing, probably jump on TikTok every now and then, just pass time. But you know what? I don't have any drama in my circle. And I think that's the key, because at one point in time, I got to the point where I finally discovered peace. And I bring that back up simply because when we look at some of these things, I think I can only speak for me. I think one of the things that I struggle with is finding peace within my own skin, understanding that I ain't- I don't have to be like that guy. You know what I'm saying? He cool, but I ain't got to be like him, because I'm the perfect version of myself. And once I got to the point and started thinking about that, then I was like, yo, let me figure out who this guy is and stop trying to emulate that guy. He's that's my dude. I love him to death, but I don't have to be like him. I'm struggling trying to be like me. And once I started focusing there, I started learning more about myself. And then I stopped trying to, I stopped falling victim to these temptations that we're getting ready to dive into. And so, thank you guys for sharing that, man, because I think one of the points that I wanted to get across is that temptation does not have a time frame. It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, whatever the case may be. They still exist. Temptations exist for the youngest child that see the cookies sitting on the countertop. Mama just took them out the oven and they're hot. They smell good. He want one, but he know that he gonna get in trouble. Yeah, it's there. All the way to the oldest cat that's in the room that say, yeah, I can possibly get away with this, but should I? And that's kind of like the thing that we kind of want to dive into. So that being said, I'm gonna depend on the expertise of these young men as we go through this conversation. As we go through this conversation. Again, shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate you guys for being here. Michelle, Tawami, we appreciate you guys. Share it. Get some other people on here. Remember, we kind of talked about this last week. This is how we spread the information. Again, if I knew how to handle temptation when I was a young teenager, I think a lot of things would be different. So the first one, and I'm gonna just leave it to you guys, because do you want to tackle the elephant in the room now, or do you want to kind of jump on it later? Which one you want to go with? Your call.
Oh shoot. Let me go ahead and take a shot real quick.
Where we starting at, Roland? Which one you want to start with?
I'm gonna give it up to y'all. I'm gonna ride this wave.
You're gonna ride the wave.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I will get it started, right? Because under the umbrella of temptation, there's a number of things that we can discuss. And the obviousness that everybody wants us to discuss, I'm gonna steer clear of that initially. We're gonna get back there. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get there. I want to talk about the temptation, and I'm gonna throw a phrase out there, and I want you guys to kind of give me your thoughts of it. I want to talk about the temptation of emotional dominance.
Emotional dominance. I think
Emotional dominance.
Mm-hmm. Situation don't go the way I want it to go. Do I act out in a certain way to try to get my way, or do I just you see what I'm saying? So when things don't go the way I want it to go, I allow my emotions to get the best.
Oh, okay.
Right.
and
Okay. I used
think
to be like that.
you say you used to?
Yeah, I used to be like that. And I just came to the point where, it is what it is. Like, okay, it happened. There's nothing that I can do about it right now. They say life is 10% what happens and 90% how you react to it.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. Okay, here's what happened. If it's a good thing, okay, let's keep doing that. If it's a bad thing, okay, what steps led to this? And let's eliminate those steps. Because I don't want to be like this no more. I don't want to feel this no more. I don't want to ache like this no more.
Yeah.
I'm cool. And I don't, it's, I used to work in retail. I worked in retail for a good 20 years, and all of my managers, and I was blessed to be trained by some of the best managers to ever be in retail. And they all said, control your controllables.
Hmm.
If something happens that's out of my reach, it is what it is. There's nothing that I can do about it. Let's figure out a way for this to not happen again, and let's move on. But before, listen, things didn't go my way. I was angry. I was angry. Then I would go through the 5 stages of depression when bad things happen to me. Like, seriously, until I figured out how to deal with it. And it's a long journey to figure out how to deal with it too. It's really a long journey. Because when
I,
you've been doing something for so long and you got to unlearn it,
yeah.
there's a
How
civil
did,
war that you fight within yourself.
yeah. How did you figure it out? That's the part I think everybody wants to hear.
I let go of the illusion of control as it is.
Mm.
Control is simply control is an illusion. I don't control. The only thing that I can control is how I myself think and how I myself react. I can't control what other people do. I can't control outside circumstances. I could go out of my apartment right now and fall down the stairs. The only thing that I can do is, okay, I fell down the stairs. Let me hold on to this railing the next time I go down the stairs so that way I don't fall again.
Yeah.
Things happen, and sometimes there's nothing that you can do about it.
I agree, and I think that sometimes it takes a level of maturity to get to a point to where you learn that, and it takes a lot of bumps and bruises that you have to go through. Because when I was a younger person, it was easy for me to pop off. If I didn't know how to handle something, it's easy for me to react with emotions and uh, fighting or whatever. But then the military helped me out with that because they had this thing where they would send you through these classes uh, that helped you with this and these anger management classes. And it's not that you're angry, but it's that you don't know how to control your emotions.
Mm.
And then you use your emotions as an excuse to what to use them against somebody for what they did. And instead of handling it where you can just, like me, I'm a person like now I talk. I'm not about to raise my voice. I'm not about to I'm not tripping. Like if something is happening, I think, and Dwayne can attest to this, going to war as a leader, you learn you can't be the person who can't control this,
Mhm.
because you have to control not just yourself, but how everybody else reacts, and everyone under you is looking towards you.
Yeah.
So when you know people are looking towards you, to make sure, like if you flipping off, hey, everybody else flipping off. Same way in your house. If you tripping about the bills and this, that, and the other, kids tripping about the bills, they gonna grow up learning this, that, and the other. But even in that vein, you also have to have an outlet to where you don't hold those things in,
Yeah.
and the outlet can't be destructive, because we have some destructive outlets, drugs, liquor, things of that sort also.
Right. See, I love this conversation, and I wanted to start with this one first because I know I don't care who you are. Everybody at some point in time has struggled with their emotions. I'm definitely not exempt. And Roland, like you, I was always a talker. The issue is I didn't necessarily know how to talk at one point in time. I knew how to yell. And then, I got kind of, I was always kind of smart in my opinion, right? So I could yell and I would yell to the point to where I could still get my point across, but then within the context of what I was saying, it was uncontrolled. Therefore, when it came out, it may have made the other person feel like they was about that tall.
Mhm.
And that wasn't what I was trying to do. But at the end of the day, in my mind, I'm thinking, why can't you see what I see? And so it was just, I mean, man, it was ugly. It was almost like a tornado, man. My soldiers used to say I used to go from 0 to 60 like that.
Mhm.
And I kind of took a step back, man. That was like one of the eye-opening moments for me because just knowing that that's how they considered me. And here's the more frustrating part about it. It was acceptable behavior in the army.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it was almost like, good job. You get results. But then you go home, those same kind of results aren't necessarily well received.
right.
So I'm like, I'm getting results over here, but I can't get results over here. How does that work? And here's the thing, this is something that I dealt with for a large portion of my life. And for me, it took me to kind of like isolate myself and sit back and get quiet and understand like what were some of my triggers. What was some like if this situation happened and I responded to it 0 to 60, what was the thing that took me from 0 to 60? Once I can isolate the event, then I can realize, okay, so how could I have responded differently and got to the point of a more healthier conversation? And I'm gonna be honest with you, even in my ripe young age today, that person still lingers back there because sometimes some people, I'm like, but what else can we do? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I get it, and I like and I'm sorry, it just says Facebook user. I apologize. Um, but when we react to a situation emotionally without logic involved, it's very easy to take it to a tipping point where you don't want to really be at. And Facebook user, and again, I'm sorry, absolutely correct, 100% correct, and that's what I'm actually talking about. When you get emotionally filled, your cognition goes down. You process information slow. So even if you and your significant other or you and somebody else, you're in a heated debate, you're not even processing what the other person is saying. You may grab one word and respond to that one word without hearing the context of the entire sentence.
Right.
And so that's why I think this one is so important to start with. You muted,
But
Chris.
I'm mute.
Oh, I say this all the time. This requires you letting go of your ego.
There we go.
You gotta let go of your ego. Ego is a killer.
Hmm.
Your ego, your ego is the part of your being that says you better than the person that you're talking to, or you know more than the person that you're talking to.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I am reading again Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules to Life and Antidote to Chaos.
Hmm.
And one of the rules is always listen to somebody like they have something that you can learn. Just because I feel a certain way doesn't mean that A, the way that I feel is right, and B, you should feel the same way.
And that's one of the things that I want to bring up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Nah, you fine. I was done.
Okay. I want to bring up one of those temptations being pride. Because when you feel you've attained a certain level and you look at someone else for their mistakes that they've made in life or their bad decisions, you think that they don't have anything to offer you.
Mm.
And that's a pride complex within yourself that says, I can't learn anything from said person because they fail in this area. But they may be telling you something that will help you not fall in that same area. But instead of listening, we buck up and go about our business and end up having to come back to that conversation, realizing that if I had listened prior to this, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Yeah. No, I love that. I like the fact that you brought pride to this conversation, because that's kind of like what Mr. Gaddy is talking about here, right? So part of me not necessarily knowing how to handle my emotions is based upon some insecurity that I have about myself. And so the prideful side of me, right? Like you said, I mean, I've gotten to this point. Like you may be talking about a particular thing, and I feel like I have all the information about that particular thing. But then on the other side of that coin, like you said, I'm responding in such a way because you should know it too. In fact, not only should you know it, you should know it at the level of I know it, and I'm trying to figure out why you're not there. And even if I explain it, I'm thinking that you're hearing me exactly at the level that I'm explaining it and mad that you can't hear what I'm saying at the level that I'm saying it. So do what I tell you to do, how I tell you to do it. Right? That's a pride thing. That is a pride thing. And he goes on and say it challenges our manhood. Yeah. In some instances it does because we think too highly of ourselves. And it's not just us, right? Everybody goes through this. And I want to make sure that we understand that these things are common to man, right? Your pride will stand in the way. And here's another thing as well. Your pride will also prevent you, right? Because remember, we're talking to temptation. There's also a temptation as it relates to pride to remain complacent. So when you ask me to step outside of my comfort zone, my pride will say, "No, I'm good right here. Thank you for the challenge. No, thank you. I'm comfortable."
I think we parent like that sometimes too.
Make it make sense.
Sometimes
Let me mute my mic.
like sometimes when we're dealing with our children, we will have expectations from how we grew up, how it was hard on us. We had to walk to school. We had to get outside. We drank out the water hose. All these hard things that we did when we were growing up.
Yeah.
We had put these expectations on our kids. And when they aren't living up to them, we're thinking, dang, these kids soft. But then you go outside in Texas and it's 100-something degrees in the shade and you walk right back in the house, but you want them kids to sit outside and play all day. You want them kids to be, oh, y'all soft. Y'all can't play tackle in the street like we did. And it's like you put undue expectations on kids, whether it be learning, whether it be environment, or whatever it is, for them to be the greatest part of what you expect them to be of yourself. And that pride in you looks down on them because they aren't reaching your goals, your said goals. But they may find a different way of doing it. Sometimes they like the way I used to try to help my grandkids do math. When my granddaughter I think it was like the 4th grade.
Yeah.
It wasn't 5th grade, smarter than the 5th grade. It was like the 4th grade. And I'm at home trying to do homework. I'm like, ooh, wait till your mama get home. Because I'm looking at it like, I don't know nothing about putting stuff in a box and doing all this. And you got to show your work. When you say doggone 3 times 3, I just write out the answer. I don't have to figure it out. I know what it is.
Right.
They got to show their work and everything. And it was like, but instead of just admitting some type of an inferiority in my learning, what I did was say, well, that's stupid. And y'all don't need to do all that. But to go to their schools, that's what they needed to do. And it's not that they're behind the power curve. It's that the learning has advanced past where I am.
Yeah. Man, this is good. Again, shout out to our listeners and those who are commenting in the comments. David Burdick, man. Hey, man, what's going on? I see you. I found Facebook user. Yeah, his name David Burdick. Awesome guy, awesome man of God, awesome husband, and awesome father. So welcome to the show, brother. Onita Simpson, thank you for your comments. We appreciate you guys for showing up. And again, Tawami and Michelle and MJ, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. And just to kind of get back to it, we are talking about temptations and how mature men handle temptations. And right now, we're just going over some of the things that presented themselves as temptations in our life. And they may be presenting themselves as temptations in your children's lives as well. So, one of the things that we want to make sure that we are consciously aware of some of the things that may be faced with. Don't allow the temptations to overtake them. Have a conversation with them earlier so we can get down to it. And right now, we just got finished talking about pride. And, sometimes we parent through the lens of pride because we had it tough. And we think that, our children, they should be hardcore too. They should be able to deal with some of the things as well. But, we realize we're living in different times. So going back to it, how did you, Roland? I want to kind of, because you brought it up as the parenting piece. How did you, as a father, learn to set aside that pride and parent through the lens of understanding? That's what I'm gonna call it.
I think when I had to go through forms of anger management training a few times, not just once, but I had to learn to listen and not just listen to the words that were being said, but you listen whether it be body language, attitude, and everything, so you can hear what the root of the problem is instead of what you think the problem is.
Mm,
Because you may think, oh, well, it's just disrespect. Oh, it's just this. But as you learn that you're speaking with children, they don't always know how to react.
yeah.
So you have to kind of sort of put yourself in their place and be an empathetic listener and hone in those skills instead of just talking, saying what you know, listen to what they're saying so that you can actually try to come up with something with the other person instead of for the other person.
Mm,
Because if it's just with, that means you're doing all the work and it's just you're trying to input instead of allowing them to think for themselves and have a cognizant part of the whole situation and the remedy for it
mm.
in their own, on their own.
I like that. I like that. It kind of reminds me of a conversation I had with my good friend Brian Parks earlier. Shout out to Brian. We was talking about some of the students that we teach, and sometimes, when they give their feedback, their constructive criticism, sometimes we have a tendency to kind of shoot that down. Yeah, but they don't understand this, and yeah, I got what they're saying, but what you're not understanding is they're giving you feedback through the lens of the chair that they're sitting in, and
Mhm.
so you're trying to relay information to them. They're the audience. So they have the best seat in the house. You may think you're doing it one way, but it's received another way. So sometimes we as parents, we got to go back and reflect back on our parenting style. And let's be honest, most of us learned our parenting style. There was no blueprint. When we had our first child, we didn't get an instruction manual and say, okay, do this. When they cry, do that. There was none of that. So we learned parenting through, in most cases, trial by fire, right? And we have to get to the point where I had to get to the point to realize, like, you know, do what I say, like like my brother saying here, do what I say and don't ask questions. Right? We had to get to the point to realize that that's not effective. Like it is a very dismissive style of parenting that literally makes your child feel about that small, like I talked about previously. So we got to kind of get out of those things and then learn to hear what they're saying. It doesn't say that you have to submit to everything that they're saying. Some of the things that they go through, they need to go through so it can build the necessary level of resiliency in their life, because the world don't care that their last name is Dwyer, Walker, or McClellan. That's just what the truth is. So there needs to be a small degree of adversity that you present to them so that they can actually deal with the frustrations of just living this thing we call life. Um,
So it's more along the lines of letting go of your ego to listen, to understand where they're coming from, instead of giving in to the temptation of listening to them just to have a clever rebuttal or to shoot them down.
or giving into the temptation of the voice in your head that's telling you that what they're saying is wrong.
And
I,
that shows a lack of respect to the other person because we will
go ahead
take
and
it as
write that down for
disrespect.
future reference.
Because when our kids talk to us, even if we're having a conversation, when they say something we don't like, oh, you being disrespectful. No, I'm voicing my opinion on what we're talking about, and you don't like it, so it's disrespect. And I had to learn that when I got teenage. For
Yeah.
me, I was automatically like, what? I was one I grabbed lips, like, mm-mm. And I made the mistake
Of grabbing lips.
of a soldier. Yeah, like shut up, like because I was one of them. Like when I'm talking, you ain't talking.
Yeah.
Like if I'm talking and you talking, that's an argument. And I did that to a soldier, and I called myself, "Whoa, what am I doing?" And I had to, apologize.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And I want to kind of add a little clarity to what Roland is saying as well. Because I know some parents in the background is like, yeah, no, I don't agree with that 100%. And I got it. And I'm the advocate of we don't say what we say to convince. We just say what we say for others to consider. What's for you, take it. What's not for you, that's okay. We're not here to force anything. But I want to add a little context to it. A child should be able to express themselves in a respectful manner, right? Um, I'm an advocate of that, right? I'm very big on this. As long as they're expressing themselves in a respectful manner, I am all ears. Once we cross the line of respect, we need to take time out. We need to take a pause. Let's walk away from this conversation right now before we continue to go down this road because it's not going to end pretty. So, again, they should be able to express themselves in a respectful manner, and that is first and foremost when will always be. Um, Let me see what I'm missing over here. We can't control others, but we can control ourselves. Yes, I'm sorry I missed that one. That was a great comment, and I appreciate you sharing that part with us, Anita. Again, shout out to everybody that's listening, man. Again, we appreciate you guys. Pray that you guys had an awesome week and a fantastic Friday as we go through this conversation of temptation and how mature men handle temptation. Now, I gave emotional dominance. What you guys got? I think you went the other way.
Yes. You muted.
Hmm. I think we pretty much hit everything.
We
Going
hit everything.
from the low level temptation of women to the high level temptation of thinking that we know everything when really we know enough to know that we have a lot to learn. I think the temptation to try to get revenge.
Mm.
When somebody hurts you or when somebody does something bad to you, there's a feeling that we get that it's like I gotta get it. I gotta get him or her back. I'm gonna figure out how to do it, and I'm gonna crush her, or
Mm.
I'm gonna crush him.
Yeah, that's
Dealing
the
with that aspect of it, and knowing that when you don't give in to that temptation to seek revenge, you're not a punk for doing that. If anything, you might be the strongest person you know. That's something that really needs to be discussed on a wide scale because everybody's trying to get back at everybody. Everybody's trying to outdo everybody, and it's like, for what?
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Uh, and so I kind of view the whole revenge thing, and I agree with you. First of all, I think the revenge thing is the expression of the uncontrolled emotions when the person is not in front of you. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to kind of retort to a person that's right in front of you. But if the person is not within in front of you and you got word of something from somebody else, right now you feel the urge to kind of get back at them. I got to stand up for myself. I got to clear my name or whatever that looks like. And I think that's a big piece as well, because again, this kind of gets back to that, self-control piece. Like, how do we control our emotions? How do we control our anger? Just kind of going back and touching on the piece, not bypassing without continuing this, but going back and touching on what Mr. Hayes said. Again, welcome to the show again, Mr. Hayes. Always good to see you, sir. We were talking about the kids earlier, and one of the things he is stressing is that he is trying to teach them. We got to teach them how to be respectful. I agree 100%. A child don't come out the womb knowing respect. We got to kind of teach that. And one of the things for me, I think that was a very good lesson that I learned when I was younger. Um, and then continuing on with that, we got to teach also, and I love the statement. We also teach our children how to parent our future grandchildren based on how they observe us parenting them. Absolutely. And that kind of goes back to what we're saying, right? We learn through what was modeled for us previously, and we just adopt some of those ways. And unfortunately, some of the things that were modeled for us was getting revenge. Let's just be honest. I've seen people get revenge. I've heard some of the conversations leading up to the revenge that they were intending to get.
I'm a product of revenge.
Mm,
If you want to take it there, I'm a product of revenge. A lot of us are products of revenge. But that's a whole nother can of worms.
yeah.
I had a joke, but I'm gonna keep that.
Oh
See,
my
there
God.
you go.
I'm nervous.
Now I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna hold it. See, and I like where y'all went with that. I was thinking for me, one of the temptations that I have to constantly push back and remind myself of, I'm an impulse buyer.
Mm.
Like if I'm sitting there at night watching TV and they got these knives that's cutting through coins and cans and still can make a tomato slice that thin, I'm buying it. I'm telling you, that's me. It's like every year and a half, I'm buying a new vehicle.
I used to be like that with watches.
Hey,
I used to be like that with watches when the Home Shopping Network was a thing and the Invicta spot was on. Oh my God.
I got this phone. I don't even talk on this phone. I just watch TV on it. Me and my daughter, we were at Best Buy one day and they were talking about this thing, this Alexa. Alexa ain't been plugged, look brand new, ain't been plugged up in about 3 years. But I got if it came on TV, I got deep fry, air fry, what's the juicer? I got everything. Ain't it? Don't use them. Some of them in the garage. But as an impulse buyer, you have to grow to a point where dude, you wasting money.
Yeah.
Like when you I got to make sure I drive past the car lot. Because if I see something that I want to see somebody else has, and sometimes what that is an insecurity because of a insufficiency of what you didn't have growing up. So when you didn't have all these clothes, all these shoes, now, I'm buying it all. I'm spending money on everything. And we have to teach ourselves, like for me, I got to make sure to tell myself, dog, you don't need that. Because if I call somebody else, they looking like I ain't controlling your money. So like, hey, if you want to get it, like you're not really helping me, but okay. Then next thing you know, I got a bunch of stuff. And sometimes that impulse buying thing will, it can be a waste and it can be detrimental to, especially when you're in a relationship, it can be detrimental to your relationship because you start spending money that you don't have.
I just want to say that I feel attacked right now. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, shoot.
Bro, I'm saying, man, I'm sitting here looking. I got packages over here that I haven't even opened yet. I have a whole wet vac still in the box. Like, I have a comforter still in the, like, I'm serious, bro. Like, it's this thing called glitch.deals. It's the devil. Don't sign up for it because they will show you like stuff that's on sale and you just automatically start buying it. And I'm telling you, thanks, Roland. You just made me, no, but.
And see, but he has a point because a lot of us, especially us coming up, we think that we have to buy everything and buy our kids everything that we didn't have. instead of teaching them everything that we didn't learn.
And we're the same people that go to Sam's and buy 2 things of peanut butter, a tub of peanut butter, a tub of this. Now, I got to buy my toilet paper and all that stuff from there bulk because I'm not going every month, every week for toilet paper and stuff. But some of the other stuff, you be like, I didn't need all this. How many? They sell eggs in a big thing. It's like I'm not dealing. This ain't a restaurant over here.
See, that's how I feel. Like I'm gonna use all the stuff. I promise.
I am too. I got if you go. If, I don't know if you've seen my garage, but I got toilet paper stacked up, paper towels stacked up. I buy paper plates. I buy the spoons. I got water stacked up.
Yeah.
And every month in my head is like I may not have used one, but I got to buy 2 to replace it. And so it's stacked up. Especially when COVID hit, man, I was online on what's that? Amazon. Amazon delivery coming every day. Because why? I can get my books here. I can get then you just on there looking at stuff like, oh man, I need that. Like,
Instacart.
how many pair of clippers can you get? I mean, I got clippers I don't use, and I got everything. But I do need to go in there and get me some beer. But anyway, that's another subject.
Y'all sound like y'all need to have a garage sale.
No, we need to have an intervention. That's what we're saying. Listen, listen.
That's what it is.
It's exactly what it is. Temptation, and we're just being transparent. Like when the Home Shopping Network, I remember I used to laugh at my uncle when I was still in the Army because I wasn't doing the Home Shopping Network stuff yet, and he laughed at me. He said, "Don't worry, wait till you retire." And it didn't happen immediately, but I find myself, man, like you go on Facebook, like if you talk about something, next thing you know, it shows up. And then like, oh, this is nice. Let me get that. And then next thing you know, you're over here. So you just find yourself buying a lot of random stuff. And again, you're right. These are temptations based upon some insecurities from your past. Like you didn't have this, you didn't have that, you didn't have this. And again, going back to your point, Chris, and what Michelle is saying here, sometimes we parent through the lens of lack. And we say that we're not going to let our child go without anything. And I'm just careful with doing that. Just want to make sure I'm respecting everybody's time because I want to keep us moving forward in this conversation because this is awesome. And I hope somebody's getting something out of this. Again, shout out to all of the audience. We appreciate you guys and your comments. Self-glorification is the next place I want to go. Me. I am beautiful. I am pretty. Look at me. I am this. I am that. I am the smartest. I'm smart. Everything that I'm seeing, especially when you start looking at the commercials on TV, there it's all about you. It's all about you. You are this. You are that. You are this. How do you think? What are some of the things in relation to temptation? What are some of the temptations that we can fall into when it comes down to self glorification?
I don't think men have that problem.
Like, I would say, depending. I would say we do, especially.
Do we? Because I don't really see men doing that.
Being competitive. Like when I played sports, I wanted to hit the shot. I wanted to hit the home run. I wanted to because the focus was now on me.
Right.
That's why people like what you go to the gym. All these little kids can't even make a layup trying to shoot a 3.
Right.
Steph Curry.
You ain't Steph.
Steph Curry.
Like, you ain't put in the work.
Right.
And that's one of those things, and that's even outside of sports. We want those attaboys. We want those pats on the back.
Right.
Because it makes us feel good about us. But when you grow and you feel good about you no matter what.
Right.
I don't need you to pat me on the back. I'm good. But when you need it, you need validation from other people or those little like playing football or any sport now, everybody get a trophy. I hate that. Everybody got to get a trophy. Everybody like Tawami, he's a basketball coach. He coached them little kids. He was like, "You gonna come coach with me?" I'm nope. I'll be done hurt these little kids because I'm not one. I don't want to put a little kid. You trash. I want to be able to say, dude, go play tennis. I want to be able to say that. Or if you're not gonna let me work with them, Parents don't want you to work with their kids. They just want them to play. Why my kid ain't playing? You
Right.
know that boy can't
Cause
even
he's trash.
chew gum and walk at the same time, but you want him out on the court. But that's just me. And that's why Tawami, he got that patience, and he out there with them little kids, and they can't pay attention, and they're chasing the ball. That's not my lane.
I love it. And you know what? You're right. I agree with you 100%. It's not one of the beautiful things about sports for men is that, we learn teamwork. We learn the value of the team. There is so many lessons that children learn when they play sports. Well, because you get to a certain age, you want to be like the superstar of the team. You want to get the pat on the backs like Roland was talking about. And then of course, sometimes you hear them out there in the court. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. They want to get to the point to where they become the show, the sports center highlight. And then of course you move on to college. Now you got the little NIL deals to go along with it. So all of these things starts to tear away from the fiber of the team concept, right? If if I think I'm the most important person on this panel, I need to take a look in the mirror. It's all about the teamwork. That's why, for me, I love throwing questions to you guys because you guys give some phenomenal answers. I don't mind being a facilitator, right? I would be like, if this was basketball, I'm 5'8", so I don't play basketball, right? But I would be like the point guard, giving you guys the assists. Because for me, I think that's really found in teamwork. Like the team is where we thrive. I know, periodically when you look at it, we start talking friendships, relationships, right? Friendships are awesome, but when you start paying attention, you saw like some friends gel together to get closer, and some of them kind of get distance because there's a bond. There's a natural bond that exists. The same bond is supposed to be found within the family dynamics as well. When you got one person, regardless of what it looks like, when that person wants to be the center of attention, I'm gonna use Chris' favorite word. That's because their ego is getting in the way of everything to do. When you're thinking and the first thing you're thinking about is how you look, that's a problem. I'm just being completely transparent. If the first thing that you're thinking about while you're doing a task is how you look during the task, that is your ego speaking, not your desire to be well for the team. So I think that's one of the biggest things because when we look at it, there's so many things that just feed your ego. And if you buy into it, it's just going to it's going to get in the way of everything.
Well, I did play basketball, and my nickname was SWAT because everybody knew that if you came inside this key, I'm shoving that shot right back down your throat. I was always a good defender.
I'm just glad you said shot. Nah.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah, don't think. And I had really really long arms. I could jump really high, and I had a decent jump shot. But I was never like the scorer of any team that I played on. I was always either a facilitator, screener, or I played phenomenal defense. I never wanted the spotlight like that. I'm like, if I can stop this, I would rather stop the best player on the other team than
Yeah.
be the best player on my team.
Mm, I love it.
And there aren't a lot of people that think like that. There aren't a lot of
Yeah.
people that think I would rather defend the best that I can as opposed to having a strong offense. Sometimes you need both. They say the best defense is a better offense. The best offense is a better defense. It is what it is. But like I said, I was always the facilitator, the defender. That was just me. I never really wanted the spotlight like that. It comes with too much pressure. It comes with way too much pressure. I never wanted to take the last shot because if I miss, the game is lost because of me, not because of
Yeah.
the trillion errors that everybody else on the team made. Is because I missed that last shot.
Yeah.
I never wanted that kind of pressure. I would rather facilitate the last shot and make sure that you open to shoot it.
Yeah. I love it. I think this message here kind of makes sense of all of that. Shout out to Michelle. I greatly appreciate this. For men should be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, etc. And if I recall correctly, this particular message is probably like 3 scriptures long. And it kind of dives deep into the things that we're talking about. So thank you for sharing that. And again, getting to the point to where you're unselfish. That's what we're talking about. And for me, I don't know what it was. I can't even tell you like the day. I think I really learned this lesson in the army. I really learned this lesson in the army because I mean I was fortunate. I was surrounded by some phenomenal people, and I've worked for some phenomenal men. Just being honest, and I've learned some very valuable lessons from those men. And I realized that if it wasn't for them, that there's a lot of stuff I wouldn't have known as a man. And so for me, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was important to actually hone in on that because I couldn't look at me and having a successful career if it wasn't for them. And so all of the hard work and effort and energy and frustrations that I caused them was the reason why I turned out the way that I turned out. So it has to come a certain point in a man's life, especially if your beard starts to look like mine's and Roland's, right? To where you're going to sacrifice yourself for a younger person because you can actually see greatness in them. And I think that's the key. When you get to that point in your life when you realize that, you know what, I really want to give back. I really want to help. I really want to do something for someone else. I think that's really what the culmination of life looks like. Not that my life is ending tomorrow. I want to make sure I'm saying that. I'm just saying that I look forward to helping people. It's something in my DNA that gives me sheer joy just to see somebody learn something or to see somebody change something in their life or to get a phone call and say, hey man, I greatly appreciate this. And I just can't put a price tag on that. So that's kind of like the thing that I'm talking about when it comes down to temptation. Don't be don't submit yourself to the temptation of elevating yourself above other people. Go the other route. Elevate other people above yourself. So again, great conversation. Real quick. We're gonna hit the elephant in the room. We're gonna get off of it. Ready? The temptation of sex. What you got?
Oh my God.
See, in and out, man. Hurry up. Come on.
Man, I got a bunch of kids. I ain't never been just in and out. No,
I
You know what? When you say certain things and you realize what you said, it's like I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that.
That was
I got a
amazing.
bad
Oh my
sense of
God.
humor.
That was
But
amazing.
but temptation of sex. I think at some point you have to grow beyond physical temptations. And I think when it comes to that whole sex thing, when you're young, the physical attraction and the mere thinking of your we grown on here. I don't think this ain't it's PG, I guess. The mere thought of just an ejaculation or a climax or whatever, that's what runs you. And when that runs you, it runs you into the ground because you constantly trying to reach a level that you'll never get to again. It's like a high that you will never attain, but you constantly chasing it. A mature man, how do you deal with that? I think when you realize that a relationship with a woman or a man is twofold. And if the only thing that you're looking for is physical gratification when it comes to sex, where you think you're pleasing the other person, it's more or less about pleasing yourself. And I think that's why you have to grow organically with the person so that you're not just thinking about the physical, not just thinking about how they look, how you look, because all of that fades. Me and you, when we met, we didn't have all this gray and whatnot. We were in better physical condition and could run 10 miles and we were good. But now time and life has taken a toll. And now you can sit back and think like, dang, I didn't need to do certain things. And then you realize as you go on that sometimes when you focus on those things, you damage other people, you damage yourself, and you put yourself in a situation where the things that you have placed in other people, that time and emotion and everything, it was energy not well spent because you were just going for the gratification of it.
I think it's difficult. It's difficult for us nowadays because everything is over sexualized. Everything. They say sex sells. Instagram is basically OnlyFans for free. You understand what I'm saying? Facebook is pretty much OnlyFans for free. I think every man should go get Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. I said that before.
Because I
Get
knew he'd bring
that
it up.
book. Yes. Listen. There's a whole community of men. I'm going to go on a tangent. I do semen retention because of Think and Grow Rich. Okay, what will happen if I retain for this long? What will happen if I retain for this long? Okay, and since I'm retaining for this long, what am I doing while I'm retaining, while not doing the falling into the temptation of trying to release? What am I doing to facilitate? What am I doing with that time? Every man should do that. Every man should go at least, I would say, go 7 days. Take 7 days out of your month and quit chasing, quit falling into the temptation of your nature, and learn how to control it and see how far you'll go. How much farther in life you would be if you would take all of the time and all of the think. Have you ever thought about how creative you get when you really want to release? You understand what I'm saying? All that energy that goes into that. Why don't you take that energy and go and reach a goal? See how far you'll go. I'm not saying don't have fun. I'm not saying you can't be with a woman. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is don't let it consume you. It's in our nature to be, fruitful. That's why we carry the spark of life. I firmly believe that. However, that's a huge responsibility. And that's something that we should take seriously. And we shouldn't share that spark of life with every woman that comes around our way that says that they like us or says that they down. And I think that's my tangent for the night.
I knew you had to get it off your chest, brother. So I was giving you free reign. Listen, you guys brought some amazing points to the table. I'm like, Chris, I like the fact that you talked about creativity. Man, listen, brothers will
Think
put on
about all
ski
of the
masks.
stunts that you've pulled and all
Yeah,
of the things that you've done
yeah.
to go get some nookie. Now,
Ski
if you
mask.
took that creativity and put it towards reaching something,
Yeah.
the
Brothers
nookie
put,
that
hey,
you chasing will probably come your way along with 4 or 5 of her friends.
yeah. So yeah, we don't want 4 or 5 of the friends. But I'm just saying,
But
I'm putting
that's
on
what
ski
but I'm
mask.
saying
Right.
it just
Yeah,
comes with the
you
territory.
I got you, man.
It's a
I
by
got you.
And here's another thing. We have to understand that the 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 getting the woman, getting that release is a byproduct of you doing what you're supposed to do as a man. It's not
Hmm.
the basis. It's not the basis. It's a byproduct. You're going to get that if you're doing what you're supposed to do because they're going to see that you're doing what you're supposed to do. And they're going to be like, if he's doing what he's supposed to do for himself, maybe if I come along and get on his program, he might do what he's supposed to do for himself and bring me along with him so I ain't got to worry about nothing. It's a byproduct, but a lot of the guys out there were taught to look at it as this is why I need to do this. I need to become a better man so I can get women. No, you need to become a better man because better men are necessary and the women will come along when they see better men.
And also, when it comes to that, I think what we don't look at is how a man, the mere thought or visual, whatever, a man will respond.
Hmm.
That, how can I say, women won't necessarily, and I'm not being vulgar, but women aren't necessarily just wet when they got bills due, when they got things to worry about, when they have problems that they need help solving. They aren't thinking about things like that, but all you want to do is penetrate. When you penetrate here, then you ain't got to worry about all that other other stuff. Penetrate here, work on yourself, work on her mental so that you can be together like that. And then go into that realm. But when that's the only thing on your mind, uh, at some point, the woman will feel used. She'll feel used, especially when she has things that, because she's trying to tell you what her issues are, and you only hear, but when can we get to this? So at some point, a mature man doesn't simply look for that part. He looks for a partner that he can help build up.
So I agree 100%. I'm gonna jump in and throw my 2 cents in, then we're gonna go on to our final thoughts, right? I just love the fact that brother brought up creativity, man. Because I'm telling you, man, I know brothers that will put on a ski mask, dress in all black, jump from rooftop to rooftop, and slide down telephone poles just to get to where they're trying to get to.
Thank
However,
you.
however, listen, listen. This is the point I want to leave. The things that people do not understand, they abuse. I want to say that part again. What you don't understand, you will abuse. I like to talk about butter knives all the time because we use the butter knife as the most versatile tool in our household, right?
Screwdriver.
So again, exactly, a screwdriver, crowbar, you name it, we use it for all those things. The things they don't understand, they will abuse. I teach a class, and within that class, we talk about the 7 levels of awareness. The lowest level of awareness is based upon your animal instincts. When you succumb to that energy, that is your animal instinct getting the best of you. Chris is right. If you can control that, then you can tap into a creative nature, not just jumping from rooftop to rooftop, right? But you can tap into a creative nature that you have never seen before. So the idea is do not fall victim to the temptation because it can become an all consuming fire. So we only share that because moms, we want you guys to, sit down and have conversation with them young men early. Get daddy involved with the conversation as well. Have the conversation. Don't allow the world to have the conversation with them. Want to touch on what MJ said because MJ brings up a very valid point. Immaturity tells us that our bodies need that release. Maturity shows us that an emotional connection is the tie that binds. Instant gratification takes a backseat to developing a real connection. And I love it. I love the fact that she say that. Listen, I've held you guys for an hour and 8 minutes. I'm 8 minutes over time. So real quick, I want to kind of get your guys' final thoughts on how mature men overcome temptations. Ro, I'm gonna start with you, Chris. Go afterwards, and then I just close it out, and then just close the show out. So, Roland, you have the floor, sir.
How to deal with temptation. I think first and foremost, knowledge of self. You have to be self-aware. You have to realize where you are and where you aren't. And don't be so high-minded to where you think you can't learn. Always be in a learning mode and find yourself some people that will tell you about you, how they see you, not how you see yourself. So that, and read a book. When you're not reading, you're not feeding your mental, then that TV programming and TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, all that is programming you. And most of the time, what you see on there is selling sex anyway, like Chris stated earlier. But find yourself, you have to stimulate your own mind first and foremost. And when you start to stimulate your own mind to where it's growing, you'll find yourself, when you grow, you realize that the little shell that you used to be in doesn't fit you anymore. So it's just like a snake shedding its skin. You got to shed that old dead skin and realize that temptations are meant to feed you. So instead of just simply thinking about feeding yourself, think about those that are around you that you can help feed, that you can help mold, that you can help build. Because in reality, man, you are a builder, you are a grower, you are a seed planter. So you have to be expecting a harvest to come after you've planted those seeds. So that means you're a worker. So always be in the mind that I have work to do and you won't have time to play kid games. And so when it comes to temptation, know where your little fault, trips are, things that trip you up. Know what they are, know where they are, be aware of them, and you don't just avoid them, because when you avoid them, they still have control over you. But you have to expose yourself to those things so that you can constantly build yourself up to where you can say no. And hey, just say no. That's what the commercial used to say. So hey, just say no to those temptations that take you away from things, because certain things you can do a little bit of, but other things, when they take control over you and you're not in control over it, you know it's not a good thing.
That's on me. Hmm. Well, Roland pretty much hit the nail on the head. Temptation is everywhere. You have to learn how to deal with it. I can't tell you how because that's based on the individual. But understand that dealing with temptation and overcoming it will lead you to places that you never thought that you would be. And go read Think and Grow Rich. That's pretty much all I got.
I love it. To his point, Think and Grow Rich is an amazing book. It's a book that you can read over and over and over again. So definitely read that. My point is simple. I'm gonna go a different route. I believe in responsibility and accountability. Responsibility is mine. Accountability is theirs. Those guys, right? So I am responsible for my behavior. They are accountable to me as friends. So if they're in my circle, they should be able to tell me when I exhibit behavior that is unbecoming of a person that they want to be associated with. That's how we take care of one another as men. What we should seek to do, we should have three sets of people that we surround ourselves with. You want to have a person that is of a higher standard, per se, older gentleman, more seasoned in their career, whatever that looks like. So have that person, have a peer, and then have a person below you. The person above you is your accountability partner because what they're doing is they're holding you to a higher standard. The person with you, we're on this thing that we're doing this together. We're trying to figure this thing. Don't listen, we make mistakes when everybody that we're with is the exact same age as we are because we're all in this boat rowing at the same time. I need a brother with a yacht. We all in this boat, and I need a dude with a canoe because the dude with the canoe is the one I feed. That's the person that I am helping along. That's the person I'm pouring into. This person up here, they're pouring into me. So what you have is a lineage, a waterfall of accountability, right? Responsibility is mine, accountability is theirs. And here's the thing, I want to be the best version of myself for the person that I'm pouring into. So the accountability metric there is that I got to continue to self improve. I got to continue to look at what I'm doing, take assessments, ask Roland, say, hey, man, I need to talk to you about something, a serious, honest conversation. Chris, I need to talk to you, brother. I need to have a real serious conversation. I need you to be as honest and as blunt and as straightforward as you possibly can. And then you tell them the thing that you're struggling with because I trust them. And then from there, they're going to give it to me straight. So again, don't surround yourself with people who look like you, act like you, and behave like you, because nobody is being accountable to anybody. We all in the same mess. Get you somebody who's here. They've conquered they conquered the things that you're struggling with. Hang out with these people here because these people we need to understand that this is a group struggle. It's not just one, right? If I do it by myself, I don't know that they suffering with the same thing I'm suffering with. So we're doing this together and we're helping each other out. Hey, I talked to my mentor, man. This is what he shared with me. Maybe it'll help you guys as well. And then you find somebody to feed as well. Pour into somebody else. I promise you, the gratification that you get from helping somebody else it will far surpass any paycheck that anybody can actually come up with. So, with that being said, again, as always, gentlemen, I definitely appreciate you, all of your wonderful insight. Again, shout out to everybody who attended. Brian Parks, man, I see your message. We appreciate that, man. Glad to have you in attendance. Michelle, MJ, Onita, Saul Robinson, appreciate you, brother, doing great work out there at the Merck Asylum. We appreciate all of you guys. Again, every Friday, 8 p.m., another great conversation. Tune in, share it, get other people involved. And again, we're just here to help strengthen the male community. So with that being said, have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week.